Nadine and Charlie ended up in an orphanage after a terrible fire broke out in their house. The girl managed to pull her younger brother out through the window since the fire reached their room last. No one else managed to escape. At first, the kids were taken to a hospital while the social workers tried to find their relatives, but they were unsuccessful. On her first day at the orphanage, Nadine threw a tantrum. Or rather, it was Charlie who was hysterical because he refused to go to sleep in another room without Nadine. The girl screamed at the caregivers, saying they shouldn't be separated, that she and her brother should stay together. The rules are different here. Charlie should sleep in the room with other boys, and you should sleep in the room with other girls, the caregiver told her. But Charlie wouldn't calm down, and Nadine tried her best to protect him. "You have to understand, we can't be apart," the girl shouted. The director of the shelter sighed heavily. "Listen to me, it won't happen your way. You won't get anywhere with your tantrums. There are rules here, and they must be followed. But no one's going to separate you." "Can you promise that you won't separate us?" the girl asked, to make sure. "I promise we won't separate you." The director nodded. Nadine took her brother's hand and pulled him aside. She explained something to him for a long time, and he listened attentively. Finally, Charlie nodded and everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Ever since then, Charlie and Nadine slept in different rooms, but the children only were separated during the nights. When Nadine was in class, Charlie always sat by the window, 10 minutes before the girl arrived, waiting for his sister. "I've seen a lot, but never such a strong bond between siblings," said one of the caregivers. The kids finally got settled in at the orphanage, but everything soon changed. A couple started coming. There was nothing special or surprising about it, except for the fact that they immediately singled Charlie out and always tried to spend time close to him. Nadine didn't really care about the special attention Charlie was getting because she knew that they wouldn't be separated, since the orphanage director made a promise to her. "No, you can't do that! You promised!" Nadine screamed and tried to escape from the caregiver's hands. "No one wants to adopt you because of your bad temper, but at least your brother has a chance to have a family. These people will be able to provide him with a decent, comfortable life," the orphanage director shouted back at her. Nadine bit the caregiver's hand, broke free, and ran into the yard. At that time, the couple were trying to push Charlie into the car, but the boy was hysterical. The child kicked and screamed and tried to free himself as best he could. Suddenly, the woman slapped the boy in the face. Charlie froze in shock. The man took advantage of the situation and quickly put the child in the back seat and closed the door. Then he stuffed his wife into the car, who stood there motionless, horrified by what she'd just done. The car began to move away. Nadine struggled to catch up with it. She could see Charlie's crying face through the rear window as the boy pressed both his hands against it and looked at his sister. Suddenly, the girl stumbled, fell down, and hit her head hard. Through her tears, Nadine saw the car leave into the horizon, taking her little brother into the unknown. She had just lost the only family she had. Nadine didn't get out of bed for the next few days. The girl refused to eat or drink and didn't react to anyone or anything around her. She lay motionless, as if paralyzed. All the attempts of the caretakers to get through to Nadine were unsuccessful. When they tried to force the girl to at least sit up on the bed, she fainted. Nadine never returned to that orphanage. After losing her brother, the girl stopped talking, or rather, she physically couldn't do it. She was moved to the orphanage for special needs kids. When she came to her senses a little bit, the girl tried to find out at least something about her brother. Nadine could only communicate in writing, but everyone thought that she was only pretending, so they didn't give her a pen and paper. The girl was hysterical. She made strange sounds, waved her hands, spat on, and pushed the caregivers. Eventually, she was placed in the psychiatric ward. And the more she tried to prove that she was fine, the more it convinced the doctors that she needed psychiatric help. Nadine spent a whole year there. There was an elderly woman at the ward who paid special attention to the girl. Her name was Rebecca, and she was the cleaning lady. She brought Nadine a notebook and a pen and started talking to the girl regularly. Rebecca started teaching Nadine to be more restrained, to think before she did something, to be more balanced and reasonable. Nadine listened attentively to the woman. No one had ever tried to mentor the girl before. Maybe it was thanks to Rebecca that Nadine managed to survive in that institution, which she felt was like a prison. Upon reaching the age of 18, the young woman was finally free. Nadine took on any job she could find, often working without rest. She saved every dollar, dreaming of buying her own home. Eventually, the young woman fell in love. She met a man in the supermarket. He asked her something, but she hesitated, unable to answer. Seeing that Nadine was feeling uncomfortable, the man ran to the office department and got her a notebook and pen. He read every word she wrote. Soon, they moved in together. But then something very unexpected happened. The man stole all of Nadine's savings and disappeared. If it weren't for Rebecca, with whom the woman still kept in touch, she wouldn't have been able to live through the betrayal. The woman helped Nadine beat her depression. And although the young woman considered her life meaningless, full of tragedies and disappointments, Rebecca always said that life was beautiful and that every moment should be appreciated. She also said that all the best things in life were still ahead of Nadine. Rebecca helped Nadine get a job as a cleaning lady in a restaurant. At first, the staff avoided the mute woman, but soon everyone got used to her, and she made friends there. The owner of the restaurant, Walter, was a good man. He allowed his employees to take leftover food home, valued hard work, and always paid overtime. Nadine liked her job because now she didn't have to spend money on food at all. One day, Walter asked Nadine to stay behind to clean up the restaurant after some celebration. Rich and spoiled young people sometimes behave like pigs, especially when they drink, he said. Of course, Nadine agreed. She was always up for earning some extra cash. And besides, there wasn't anyone waiting for her at home. The young people were having the time of their life. Then there was a sound of dishes breaking, so Nadine grabbed a mop and hurried to clean everything up. While she was taking care of the mess, one of the guests asked her a stupid question. Nadine raised her head and froze. "Why are you silent? You don't want to talk to me?" the young man insisted. At that moment, a waitress ran up. "Sorry, she can't answer. She's mute." Nadine walked close to the man and looked him straight in the eyes. Then she reached out and stroked the man's cheek gently, as she did when they were little. Everyone looked at them in shock. "Nadine, it's you," Charlie said. They walked down the embankment until early morning. Charlie told Nadine that his parents had moved to Europe, leaving him the business. He managed to expand the company and significantly increase its profits. "You know, I could never truly love my parents, although I'm very grateful to them for everything they did for me. We just lived together and pretended that everything was fine. Now, it's your turn. Tell me, why can't you talk?" "It's a very long story," Nadine wrote on the paper. "I have all the time in the world," Charlie hugged her. They sat on a bench. She kept writing, and he kept reading. Sometimes Charlie would jump up and wave his arms indignantly, swearing and screaming. Then he would sit back down and continue to read. A few months later, Nadine and Charlie came back to the same restaurant. "Nadine, you look amazing," the owner of the restaurant recognized the woman, despite the fact that she looked completely different. "Thank you," she replied, surprising everyone. Yes, Nadine could talk again. Charlie took the young woman to the best specialists, and it turned out that her problem could be solved. Also, Nadine now had her own apartment, big and beautiful. Moreover, Nadine was going to become a psychologist and help children who found themselves in difficult life situations. Of course, Charlie insisted on all of it. He said that he remembered all the love and care that his sister surrounded him with when he was little, so he considered it his duty to take care of her now, especially since he had both the means and the desire to do it.